It's 12:41 a.m., March 8, 2014. The lights of Kuala Lumpur International shimmer against the rain-coated runway. 239 souls board flight MH370. Business travelers, families, honeymooners, each with their own destination, each with a tomorrow waiting. Inside the cockpit, Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah runs through final checks. Everything appears ordinary. At night, the Boeing 777 begins its ascent into the dark Malaysian sky. But somewhere above the South China Sea, only 40 minutes after takeoff, something impossible happens. The aircraft vanishes. No distress call, no radar return, just silence. In the hours that followed, families waited for messages that never came. Search teams combed oceans wider than nations, and the world asked, how can a modern jet simply disappear? Was it a hijacking, a technical failure, a hidden plan, or something far stranger, something we still can't explain? Over the next 40 minutes, we'll retrace that flight minute by minute, exploring the clues, the theories, and the evidence left behind on distant shores. Because somewhere out there, beneath thousands of meters of water, may lie the answer to one of the greatest mysteries of our time.
At 12:41 a.m., flight MH370 lifts off from runway 32R, climbing smoothly through the heavy Malaysian night. Inside, cabin lights dim, seatbelts click, and the rhythm of the engines settles into the calm hum of a routine flight. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. The Boeing 777, a symbol of modern safety, technology, and reliability. A plane designed to cross oceans and continents. A machine built so that this could never happen. At 1:01 a.m., the aircraft levels at 35,000 feet. Air traffic control clears the flight to enter Vietnamese airspace. In the cockpit, Captain Zahari and First Officer Farik exchange routine words with controllers. Then, at 1:19 a.m., the final transmission is heard. Good night, Malaysian 370. It would be the last human voice ever heard from that plane. Minutes later, radar screens show the aircraft approaching the edge of Malaysian control. Controllers in Ho Chi Minh await its appearance on their screens, but it never comes. The icon of MH370 vanishes. No distress call, no emergency squawk. Just a blank space where a plane should be. At first, no one panics. Loss of signal happens. Systems fail. Transponders reset. But as the minutes stretch into an hour, confusion turns to concern. Controllers call each other, checking frequencies. No answer. They reach out to other flights nearby. Nothing heard. A Malaysian Airlines operator tries to call the cockpit again and again. Phones ring into silence high above the South China Sea. At 2:30 a.m., the airline officially declares communications failure. By 6 a.m., the plane should already be descending toward Beijing. Families are waiting at the arrival gate. Screens still show on time. But on the horizon, no lights appear, no landing sequence, no plane. Air traffic control initiates search protocols. Malaysia deploys aircraft to scan the Gulf of Thailand. Vietnam joins in. Dozens of ships sweep the water below. Yet hour after hour, nothing. Not a single piece of debris, not a single emergency beacon. It's as if flight MH370 never existed. Then, strangely, radar data from the Malaysian military reveals something new. The plane didn't fall into the sea right away. It turned. A slow, deliberate turn westward, crossing the peninsula, flying back across Malaysia into the Strait of Malacca. No radio contact, no response, just a silent jet gliding through the darkness for hundreds of kilometers. Who was in control? The pilots? An intruder? Autopilot following unknown coordinates. By sunrise, search teams realized they'd been looking in the wrong ocean. Families are moved from hope to disbelief. The world's media gathers in Kuala Lumpur. Headlines scream, "Missing jet." Governments join forces, Australia, China, the US, to launch one of the largest air-sea searches in history. But the truth is already buried under waves thousands of meters deep. In the first 24 hours, not a single confirmed trace is found. No distress signals, no wreckage, no oil slicks. Only a haunting record of silence. Behind closed doors, investigators realize they are no longer searching for survivors. They're searching for an explanation. What could cause a modern aircraft to vanish so completely? Was it mechanical failure, so sudden the crew had no time to react? Or was it something intentional, planned from within the cockpit? As day turns to night again, one fact becomes clear. Flight MH370 did not simply crash, it disappeared. The sun rises over Kuala Lumpur, but for hundreds of families waiting in Beijing, there is no sunrise, only questions. The arrival board still reads, "On time." Parents hold flowers, children press against the glass, and then, in quiet confusion, the announcement comes: Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 has been delayed. Phones begin to ring. No one answers. Messages remain unread. Some families call again and again, convinced it's a network issue, a misunderstanding, because airplanes don't just vanish. At the airline's operations center, panic begins to grow behind closed doors. Every channel is checked, every radar revisited, every frequency scanned. Nothing. No distress call, no signal, no clue. By mid-morning, Malaysia Airlines confirms what no one wants to hear. Contact has been lost with flight MH370. The word spread like wildfire across Asia. Newsrooms erupt, reporters rush to the airport, live coverage begins, and for the first time, the world hears three chilling words. A plane is missing. In Beijing, tears replace confusion. Families are escorted to a private room, hundreds of people connected only by loss. They search for answers in each other's eyes. Some pray, some scream. Most simply sit in silence, waiting for a call that never comes. As the world awakens to the news, governments move fast. Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore all deploy aircraft and ships toward the Gulf of Thailand. Helicopters scour the waves. Patrol planes trace invisible lines across endless blue water. But every hour that passes makes hope smaller. By sunset, the search area grows to hundreds of kilometers. Nothing is found. No oil slicks, no wreckage, no emergency beacon. Just the sea, silent and unbroken. Across news channels, experts fill screens with maps and theories. Some say the plane must have exploded. Others claim it lost power and glided off course. But without evidence, every explanation feels like fiction. Back at Kuala Lumpur's control center, military radar data reveals something shocking. MH370 didn't crash where everyone thought. It turned, A sharp, deliberate turn westward, crossing Malaysia once again, flying into the Strait of Malacca. That single piece of data changes everything. Now investigators face a terrifying question. If the plane turned back, who made that decision? Was it the captain, the co-pilot, or someone else entirely? And if it kept flying west, how long did it stay in the air? Hours? Maybe more? The mystery deepens. Search teams are redirected, but time is slipping away. Every minute that passes scatters the trail further across the ocean. By the end of that first day, the world understands the scale of the disaster. This is no ordinary accident. This is something else, something bigger, stranger, and far more complex. Families cling to their phones through the night. Screens flash breaking news, rumors, false reports of debris, but each one fades to nothing. And when dawn rises again, there are still no answers. What happened in those hours after radar contact vanished? Where did the plane go? And how could 239 people disappear from the face of the earth without a single trace? For the next few days, the world becomes obsessed with a single question. Where is MH370? Dozens of nations join forces. It is the largest air and sea search in modern history. More than 60 aircraft, dozens of ships, and thousands of personnel scour the seas east of Malaysia, the Gulf of Thailand, the South China Sea. Every possible path the plane could have taken, searched, scanned, and researched. Nothing. The sea gives back no answers, no debris, no signal, no trace of 239 people. Then, 5 days after the disappearance, investigators review data from the Malaysian military radar again, and what they find changes everything. At 1:21 a.m., right after its last radio message, MH370 turns sharply to the west, away from its flight path to Beijing. It crosses Malaysia again, flies over the Strait of Malacca, then disappears entirely from radar near the island of Penang. That discovery shocks investigators. They've been searching in the wrong ocean. The plane wasn't lost over the South China Sea, it was heading toward the vast Indian Ocean, an area so remote that no radar, no communication, no satellites had been watching. Just open water for thousands of kilometers. Overnight, the entire search operation shifts. Australia steps in to coordinate efforts. Naval ships, long-range patrol aircraft, and deep-sea sonar systems begin scanning an area larger than most countries. But the ocean is vast, deep, and merciless. For weeks, they find nothing but silence. Then, satellite data offers a new clue. Engineers from a British company named Inmarsat noticed that MH370's communication system, though disabled from transmitting normal data, still sent out small automated handshakes to a satellite every hour. These faint signals, 7 of them, showed the plane was still flying for nearly 7 hours after it vanished from radar. 7 hours. That means MH370 likely traveled thousands of kilometers southwest into the open Indian Ocean before its final descent. Using this data, scientists trace what they call the Southern Arc, a curved path of possible flight routes. Somewhere along that invisible line, the plane must have fallen. The discovery renews hope. Ships and underwater drones are sent to the new coordinates. They scan the ocean floor, mapping ridges and trenches never seen before by humans. The data shows underwater mountains, valleys, and volcanic ridges, but no sign of a Boeing 777. Days become weeks, weeks become months. The world watches, waiting for news that never comes. Theories begin to spread. Hijacking,
suicide, mechanical failure, even secret military intervention. Every idea sounds possible because there is still no proof to rule any of them out. By June 2014, more than 4 months after the disappearance, the official search covers over 4 million square kilometers of ocean, and still nothing. For the families, the silence is unbearable. Every update begins the same way: no new findings today. They cling to rumors of signals, satellite images, floating debris, but each time it's a false alarm. The longer the plane remains missing, the stranger the story becomes. Because planes don't just vanish. Every aircraft leaves a trace, a signal, a beacon, a piece of wreckage. But MH370 left nothing. The search now moves to deeper waters, thousands of meters below the surface. Remote submarines descend into the black, their lights cut through the darkness, searching for a shadow, a shape, a clue. But the sea keeps its secret. Months pass, billions are spent, and still the mystery grows larger. How could a modern jet, tracked by satellites and radars, disappear in an age of total technology? Was it lost by chance or hidden by design?
More than a year has passed since Flight MH370 vanished. The search has crossed oceans, drained budgets, and shattered families. Still, there is no wreckage, no answers, only theories, arguments, and silence. Then, in July 2015, hope washes ashore. On a quiet beach on Rainian Island, a small piece of debris is found by a local man walking the coastline. It's white, curved, and covered in barnacles. Investigators identify it almost immediately. A flaperon, a movable part of an airplane's wing. And not just any airplane. It belongs to a Boeing 777. For the first time in 16 months, there is proof. MH370 was real. It existed, and it ended somewhere in the vast Indian Ocean. Soon, more fragments begin to appear. A wing panel in Mozambique, a horizontal stabilizer in Madagascar, a section of the engine cowling marked with the words, "No step." Each piece carried by currents thousands of kilometers from the crash site. Scientists trace ocean drift models, studying how debris could travel from one side of the Indian Ocean to the other. The results all point to the same area, a remote stretch of ocean west of Australia, an area so deep and hostile that only a handful of robotic submarines have ever reached it. The discovery reignites the investigation. Search vessels return to sea. Specialized sonar systems scan the seabed with precision never seen before. Images of underwater mountains, ridges, and canyons fill massive data maps, but still, no sign of the main wreckage. Every new clue brings another question. If the plane truly crashed that far south, why did it turn west in the first place? Who made that decision? And why was all communication shut down so cleanly, so suddenly, as if someone wanted the plane to disappear? Forensic tests on the recovered debris confirmed they belonged to MH370, yet revealed little else. The damage patterns show water impact, but no clear indication of how the aircraft hit the sea. Some pieces suggest a high-speed crash. Others imply a controlled descent. Each theory tells a different story. For the families, the discoveries are bittersweet. Each new piece of metal brings both relief and pain, proof of what they feared but never wanted confirmed. Closure, but not understanding. As months turn into years, the official search continues with growing doubt. More than 120,000 square kilometers of seabed are scanned. Entire regions of ocean are mapped for the first time in human history. and yet the final resting place of the plane remains hidden, as if the ocean itself refuses to give it up. By early 2017, the search is suspended. Officials announce, "We have done everything humanly possible." The ships return home. The radar screens go dark. But for many, the mystery is far from over. Because, while pieces of MH370 were finally found, the story behind them is still untold. What made that aircraft change course? Who was in control during its final hours? And what really happened in the silence between 1:21 a.m. and its final signal 7 hours later? When the radar went silent, one system was still listening. 22,000 miles above Earth, a satellite belonging to the British company Inmarsat continued to receive faint, automatic handshakes from flight MH370. Tiny electronic pings, nothing more than a whisper of connection, but enough to prove that the aircraft was still alive long after it vanished from radar. For months, those pings were ignored. They were buried in millions of lines of routine data. But when investigators finally looked closer, they realized these signals told a hidden story, one written in mathematics and silence. Each ping recorded the distance between the plane and the satellite. Plot those distances over time, and a pattern begins to form, a curved line stretching deep into the southern Indian Ocean. It would later be known as the Seventh Arc, the final trace of MH370. According to the data, the plane continued flying for nearly 7 more hours after its last radio message. 7 hours of total silence. No transponder, no communication, no navigation lights seen by any pilot across Asia's busiest skies. And yet, it flew. The data shows a steady path toward the open ocean, far from any land, any radar, any chance of being seen. Somewhere along that invisible arc, the final ping was received at 8:19 a.m. After that, nothing. The connection went dark forever. To understand the signals, scientists had to decode what they meant. Were they signs of autopilot continuing after a decompression event? Was someone still flying the plane deliberately? Or did it simply drift south on its own until the fuel ran out? Engineers simulated the final moments again and again. In every version, the plane runs out of fuel somewhere along that southern path. Some models show a high-speed crash into the ocean. Others suggest a long, slow descent, as if guided. But there was one detail that raised more questions than answers. When the engines finally shut down, the system made a final handshake, a sudden burst of data, as if the plane tried to reconnect one last time. To some experts, this meant the aircraft was still intact at that moment. To others, it meant the beginning of its end. Every clue added complexity instead of clarity. The more precise the data became, the less certain the answers were. Some analysts proposed that someone in the cockpit may have programmed a new route, a manual flight path leading deliberately south. Others argued it could all be coincidence, a tragic chain of system failures, miscommunication, and chance. But one thing was certain. Those pings, invisible to the human eye, never meant to be part of any investigation, became the most important digital breadcrumbs in aviation history. They transformed the search from chaos to direction, and they narrowed the world's focus to one of the most remote and unforgiving places on Earth. A place so deep, so wide, that finding a plane there is like finding a single grain of sand in an entire desert. The Seventh Arc became the new obsession. Beneath it,
Somewhere under 4,000 meters of cold black water lay the truth of MH370. And as the world studied the data and debated what it meant, a new wave of theories began to rise. Theories that questioned everything we thought we knew about what really happened that night.
For years, the world has tried to make sense of what happened to Flight MH370. But every fact has a shadow, every answer another question. And in that silence, theories began to grow. Some experts believe it was a technical tragedy, a chain of failures no one could stop. Perhaps an electrical fire in the avionics bay, cutting communication and filling the cabin with smoke. Maybe a sudden decompression, knocking the crew unconscious while the plane continued flying on autopilot until the fuel ran dry. A simple malfunction that became an unimaginable disaster. But others saw something far less accidental. The deliberate turn west, the shutdown of transponders, the calm goodnight Malaysian 370, all too perfect to be random. Could someone in the cockpit have planned it? Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, experienced, respected, with thousands of hours of flight time. Investigators searched his home flight simulator. They found a deleted route, one that eerily resembled the same southern path the plane is believed to have taken. Was it coincidence or practice? His family insists he was innocent, devoted, and happy. No evidence of motive, no proof of intent, just data, cold, incomplete, open to interpretation. Then came the hijacking theories. Could someone have taken control of the aircraft mid-flight? Some suggested a passenger, maybe even a stowaway, forced the pilots to change course. Others spoke of remote cyber intrusion, an external takeover, impossible yet strangely fitting for a 21st century mystery. But every passenger was cleared, every possibility checked. No ransom, no message, no claim of responsibility. And beyond all logic, darker ideas spread. Whispers of military involvement, a mistaken interception, a hidden cover-up. Some believed the plane was shot down and buried in secrecy. Others said it landed secretly on Diego Garcia, a U.S. military base in the Indian Ocean. No evidence ever surfaced, no witnesses, only speculation fed by absence. Even oceanographers began to argue. Some said the debris suggested a high-speed impact, a dive straight into the sea. Others claimed it looked like a soft ditching, as if someone guided it to the water with precision. Both can't be true, but both could be possible. And what of the 7 hours in between? The world's most advanced radar network saw nothing. No one heard distress calls, no one saw lights, no one recorded a sound. How does a plane the size of a building cross nations unseen? Perhaps that is the real mystery, not how it disappeared, but how silence itself became the perfect disguise. 10 years later, the truth remains fractured. Part science, part speculation, part ghost story. Every theory fits one piece of the puzzle, yet none can explain it all. Maybe it was a slow tragedy of systems failing one by one. Maybe it was a conscious act of control, carried out in complete calm. Or maybe it was something we still don't have the tools to understand. Because MH370 is no longer just a missing airplane. It's a mirror, reflecting our fear of what we can't track, what we can't predict, and what we may never fully know.
The search had been suspended. The ships returned home, and the ocean went silent again. But for the families, and for those who refused to accept unknown as an answer, the mystery never ended. Then, a private company steps forward. Ocean Infinity, a deep-sea exploration firm armed with a new generation of underwater drones.
machines capable of scanning thousands of square kilometers faster than any vessel before. In early 2018, they make a promise. They'll find MH370, and they'll only take payment if they succeed. Their fleet sails to the Indian Ocean. 8 autonomous submarines dive into the darkness, mapping every ridge, every trench, every shadow beneath the 7th arc. For months, they move in silence, day and night, in some of the harshest waters on Earth. Each sonar sweep returns millions of data points, ghostly images of the ocean floor. At times, hope flares, a metallic reflection, an unusual shape, a signal echo. But each time, it turns out to be natural terrain. A rock, a ridge, a false alarm. Even with the best technology ever deployed, the sea gives nothing back. By June, Ocean Infinity ends its mission. They've searched over 100,000 square kilometers, almost as much as the original government operation, and still no wreckage. Another silence, another ending. But technology keeps evolving. New satellite systems, AI-driven ocean modeling, and advanced drift analysis begin to reshape what we know. Scientists now believe the impact site could lie just outside the original search zone, a small but critical margin missed by earlier maps. Oceanographers from Australia and France continue refining data, narrowing possibilities meter by meter. In 2024, whispers of a new search begin to spread again. Ocean Infinity announces its readiness to return, using upgraded vehicles capable of diving deeper and processing data in real time. The families, though weary, support the mission. They've lived a decade in uncertainty, and even one small discovery could finally bring peace. And there are new clues. Recent ocean current models show how debris patterns matched seasonal drifts perfectly, suggesting the aircraft's final resting place is indeed within reach. Satellite companies reveal improved resolution images that may hold faint traces overlooked years ago. The mystery, once frozen in time, starts to move again. But behind every new effort lies the same haunting truth. The ocean is vast, and secrets sink deep. Finding MH370 is no longer just about a plane. It's about proving that no mystery is unsolvable, no matter how deep it lies. And yet, as technology brings us closer to answers, the emotional weight only grows. Because every sonar ping, every signal, every map line is not just data, it's the echo of 239 lives waiting to be found.
For the families of those on flight MH370, time has not healed anything. Every year that passes is another year without a goodbye. In Beijing, Kuala Lumpur, Paris, and Sydney, families still gather on March 8th. They hold candles, photos, and letters that have no destination. They speak to a plane that never came home. 10 years later, they still ask the same question. Where are they? Some have built entire lives around the search. A mother who wakes up each morning to read ocean reports. A son who became an aviation engineer because he couldn't live without answers. A father who still keeps his daughter's phone charged just in case someone calls. Every small discovery brings a wave of emotion. When the first piece of debris was confirmed, some wept with relief, others with pain. Proof, at last, but also confirmation of the unthinkable. And yet, for many, hope never fully dies. Some believe the truth is still hidden, that something about the disappearance has not been told. Others simply need closure. Not theories, not numbers, but the chance to bring their loved ones home. Investigators too carry the burden. Men and women who spent years at sea, staring at sonar screens, searching for a shadow. They speak of how the mystery changed them, how every blank scan began to feel personal. It was no longer a mission, it was a promise. Airlines and governments changed procedures after MH370. New satellite tracking became mandatory. Every plane now sends location data every few minutes. It took a tragedy to make the skies safer, but for the families of those lost, safety means nothing without truth. And truth remains elusive. For them, the ocean is not just a map of coordinates, it's a grave without a marker, a place where memory and mystery collide. They say grief comes in stages, but the grief of not knowing never ends. It pauses, it waits, it returns, like the tide. As the 10th anniversary approaches, families prepare once more for a memorial. Different languages, different lives, united by one story. They read names, they light lanterns, they promise not to forget. And as the lights drift upward into the night sky, it's impossible not to feel the weight of silence. The same silence that began at 1:21 a.m. that March night.
10 years. 10 years of searching, hoping, and questioning. And yet, after all this time, the truth of Flight MH370 remains just out of reach. What do we really know? We know the plane took off normally from Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m. We know it turned west after its last transmission. We know it continued flying for nearly 7 more hours, and that fragments of it later washed ashore on distant coasts. We know 239 souls were on board, and that none have ever been found. But beyond those facts, everything else is shadows. The black boxes, the voice recorder and flight data recorder, still lies somewhere beneath 4,000 meters of water. Without them, every explanation remains speculation. Some experts say the plane was hijacked or flown deliberately off course. Others still believe it suffered a catastrophic failure. And then there are those who suspect something far more complex. A chain of events that combined human error, malfunction, and fate in one impossible sequence. The data gives hints, but not answers. The satellite pings tell us direction, not reason. The debris tells us it ended in the ocean, but not how. Every fact seems clear until the next one appears, and together they blur into uncertainty. What we don't know is bigger than what we do. We don't know who made the final decision, what happened in the cockpit, or what those last 7 hours of flight truly looked like. We don't know why the systems were shut down, or whether it was accident, sabotage, or survival instinct. The investigation taught us that even in an age of global tracking, a plane can still vanish. It exposed how fragile our systems really are, how a few silent minutes can erase hundreds of lives from the map. For aviation, MH370 became a turning point. New regulations now require continuous satellite tracking for every flight. But the changes came too late for those on board. And so the questions remain, not because we haven't searched hard enough, but because the ocean keeps its secrets well. Maybe one day, technology will reach deeper, mapping the seabed in ways we can't imagine today. Maybe a future mission will find what 10 years of effort could not. And maybe then, the world will finally know. But until that day, MH370 stands as a reminder that even in our most connected age, mystery still exists, that silence still has power, and that the sky, for all our progress, can still hold secrets we're not ready to understand.
Somewhere out there, beneath thousands of meters of water, lies what remains of Flight MH370. Maybe broken, maybe whole, maybe still holding the answers the world has searched for all these years. But until it's found, one truth endures. This is not just a mystery about technology or aviation. It's a story about people, about voices that vanished mid-sentence, families that still wait, and a world that learned how fragile certainty can be. MH370 reminds us that even now, in an age of satellites and instant connection, we are still at the mercy of the unknown. That silence can still win. That the sky, the sea, and the space between them still hold secrets beyond our reach. Maybe one day, the ocean will give back what it took. Maybe we'll finally know what happened that night, minute by minute, breath by breath. But until then, this story remains unfinished, a question written across the sky. And perhaps that's what makes it unforgettable, because the greatest mysteries aren't the ones we solve. They're the ones that remind us how small we truly are. If you've followed this story till the end, thank you. If you too are drawn to the unexplained, to the questions that don't fade, subscribe and join us as we uncover the world's hidden stories. Because somewhere, out there, another mystery is waiting, and maybe it's one we can still solve.